My mic is here somewhere. It's there. Being weird. All right, just get in the frame already. There we go. Greetings and welcome back to Blackburn News, where everything is connected. Home of the Death Star, Mike. All right. Lots of things to talk about, especially weather today, because, well, that's the news. That is what is happening. And people are like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know, though. The weather modification conspiracies, I get it. It can become a little bit tiresome. Part of me finds it tiresome. It's a little like the people that post like the sun and the moon in the sky at the same time, right? And the moon is like half lit up, and they're like, "Explain that." I'm like, and then there's a bunch of people in the comments just saying like, "Bro, do you understand? Do you understand anything?" Right. So, some of it is a little bit like, I don't know. I'm just having a hard time. I don't know. Without venturing to repeat myself over and over again, which I may try and do, or try and not do, but I probably will do anyways. When looking for an explanation for something, it's good to look at everything. You find talking about politics tiresome. Yeah, well, it can be. I like to talk about things that are happening, right? And there's a wide range of things that are happening. I try to exclude like sports. I don't care about sports. I love music, but I don't talk about music news, but I don't know. There's all kinds of things that people are interested in. And if you're interested in what I'm talking about on this channel, well, glad to have you here. I like to talk about things that are relevant, I think, right? Relevant to what is happening to people. We're live on YouTube, X, and on Telegram. If you want to watch on Telegram, you totally can. Things that affect people, things that people might want to think about, things that people might want to be aware of, that they might not get from other news sources or their mainstream news sources. That's what, sure. I agree with you, Jolene. Weather modification, sure. I'm sure it's happening. We're also we're terraforming the planet Earth. We're modifying the planet through our actions. I don't know how, right? If we are the ones that build the nuclear power plants. We are the ones that release craziness into the water and the air and the soil. So nothing is more relevant than coffee. Nobody. You got that right. All right. So yeah, there is a lot of like crazy weather going on, and people seem to be talking about it. I don't know. I see two different sides of the story going on in my timelines. As I have said long ago, unfortunately, because powerful people and powerful and wealthy people have taken up climate change as a subject, they've actually discredited the subject of climate change. So it's less popular than ever. It's less understood than ever. Even though, plenty of people see what's going on. Plenty of people have eyes and ears and can bear witness to the things that are happening around them. What I noticed the other night is that where I'm at currently, I don't hear any crickets. It's midsummer. It's July. You should hear crickets everywhere. If you're in any kind of situation where there's like trees and plants and nature around, and there's trees and plants and nature around in my part of California, in the summertime, there should absolutely be crickets, and they should be loud, and there should be a chorus, right? Like in other parts of the country, right? They have either, they have cicadas or other, insects that are just really loud. Poppy says crickets galore here. Yeah, you sent me that video the other night, and I noticed immediately how loud the crickets were. There are no crickets here anymore. They're gone. Mostly gone. You hear them in some little areas, but what used to be a chorus of crickets just even a few years ago is dead silence now. And that, if you notice that, if you understand what that means, that we have changed the climate or the planet in such a way that these insects are no longer here. You might notice that there's no bees around anymore. You might notice that. I think people notice that there's no bees around anymore. There's no crickets around. The implications of that are frightening. And you should be worried about that. I know a lot of people out there who probably don't even notice it. Should be worried about it. And if you're wondering why that's happening, it's because we are destroying the web of life on the planet. We humans, not, we collectively humans are doing that. And you can argue about people can go round and round about what's really going on. But Bella, you have to hand pollinate your zucchini. Yeah, I used to have to hand pollinate several plants when I was growing plants. I don't have any ability to do that right now, which makes me sad. But yeah, when I was growing plants, I used to have to hand pollinate. I used to have to do all kinds of things to get them to grow or keep them growing when they were growing. Delene says, where do the starfish sea stars go? Right? Yeah, you're right. Good question. You're seeing fireflies, Poppy? I was going to say there's another one. That's great that you're seeing fireflies. I used to visit the East Coast quite often, and when I first visited 10 or 15 years ago, I saw fireflies for the first time, and they were everywhere, and I was like, oh my God, these are so amazing. And what I noticed is over the years, visiting the East Coast that they disappeared. They stopped being abundant. And you went from seeing, a multitude of fireflies in the evening come out at a certain time to seeing, maybe one, maybe two. Oh, there's one. June bugs disappeared from my house over the last 10 years. Something is different, guys. Something is different. All of these things are connected, by the way. If you're willing to notice and pay attention, all of these things are connected. And you could choose to acknowledge that or don't choose. I don't, do what you want. Don't look up. Whatever you do. Poppy says, got a few June bugs, but not nearly as many as when I was younger. Yeah. You got bees. Good. Sounds like you're in the spot where they still have the things that are supposed to make the world tick. Yeah. So, think what you want about what's going on. I can tell you that I think we're seeing the fruits of our labor in a negative way. And, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we can't control ourselves, or, we can't function as a species in a way that's not destructive. It's basically what it is. We're a very destructive species, and we don't know how to. Boundaries don't pertain to us. We just do whatever we want to do, and that has consequences. When people just do whatever they want to do, it has consequences, right? When you live in a way that's harmonious with the planet or with the universe, or in alignment with the rest of the world, right? You live in a way that doesn't cause destruction and harm. And I think that's, but that's a level of nuance and compassion that people seem willing to avoid, or destined to avoid, to their own detriment. And it's too bad. Let's see. Chris says the David Suzuki article on politics is great. I'll see if I can find it. Thank you. Anyways, I've done a lot of rambling. It's already 20 minutes into this. Oh, is this from iPolitics? I see. It's too late. David Suzuki says the fight against climate change is lost. And I don't see any other way to see it than that. Not only we're going in the other opposite direction of caring about climate change, right? The environmental movement was stomped into non-existence several years ago. And a lot of people left the movement out of apathy several years ago. And because the climate movement got wrapped up, I mean, it's kind of deviously genius that, if you want to make somebody care less about an issue, have it be something that the elite champion as being a cause, celeb, if you will. Because nobody trusts the people in charge for good reason, for absolutely great reasons, right? Nobody trusts the people in charge. Nobody wants to listen anymore. Everybody's like, whatever you are saying is something I'm not listening to anymore. So, because people in charge, or the powerful people, uttered the words climate change. Now it's like people are like, nope, I don't want to hear it. I don't care anything environmental, anything climate change, anything, reasonable on that level. People are just don't want to hear it. They don't want to talk about it. They're not inclined to talk about it. And so we're going in the opposite direction of caring about destroying the planet. And we're just going to destroy the planet. We're just going to keep on going until the planet. What's happening today is the planet is angry. Mother Nature is going to commence to slapping. And, I've said it years ago. There will be a point at which Mother Nature commences to slapping, and is going to start slapping humans around like the little weak, pathetic, creatures that they truly are. And we're all going to suffer. We're all going to suffer the slapping. And so, get ready. I don't care if you think they're modifying the weather. I don't care what you think is happening. You're going to get slapped. We're all going to get slapped because we don't care collectively. We don't care. And so if it makes you feel better to talk about, how they're doing this and they're doing that to you, and if we only, whatever, it doesn't matter. So it makes me cynical, and it makes me feel like I see the signs, I see the writing on the wall, and I'm worried about it. But do I think that there's anything that we can do about it? Do I think there's anything to be done about it? Do I think that anybody is ever going to wake up and figure it out? Or, at least something is going to catalyze us to move in the right direction? I don't have a lot of hope for that. Don't have a lot of hope for it. And so I don't know what else to do other than, go forward and try and make the best of things. All right. But it does get a little frustrating at times. Let's see. That humans will really never organize themselves in a way that is, and we're more divided than ever. People are more divided and divisive than ever. People agree on less than they ever did. It seems like. And that is very sad, disheartening. Okay. Let's see. Let's talk about what's going on, or try. Doom spelled backwards is mood. Rich Diana. Where is Rich Diana, by the way? I have not seen Rich Diana in a long time. If you're out there, Rich, hope you're doing all right. Don't know if you're still tuning in, or if you're lurking. 256 flash flood warnings have been issued across the United States since July 4th, spanning 33 states. That is, that's something. Here's a post from Ryan Katz Rosine. PhD, what's going on here? What's going on here? Do you see what's going on up here too? Do you see what's going on everywhere? The oceans are warm, very, very warm. What happens when the oceans get warm? Water evaporates. Where does the water go? Up in the air, in the atmosphere. What happens to the water in the atmosphere? Well, eventually it forms into storms and such, and it comes back down to the earth, and lots of water. That's what's happening. Golly gee willikers. Um, yeah. Some useful context. Since 2010, the North Pacific and North Atlantic have become hotspots for ocean heat accumulation due to heat transport by western boundary currents. You see the change from 2000 to 2010 to 2010 to 2020. The Mediterranean is record busting hot. Yeah. Lots of water, but not evenly distributed. Yep. So, yeah. So, yeah. I thought we were supposed to listen to science, y'all. Were we supposed to be doing science? Oh, that's right. They shut off the satellites and I don't know. Everything is fake thing. There are a lot of things that are fake, but not everything is fake. So there's quite a few things that are real on the planet Earth. Quite a few things that are real in the world. Physics is real. I like physics because physics works. Physics is a thing. If we didn't understand physics, if physics weren't a thing, we would not be able to fly airplanes. If you believe that everything is fake or nothing is real, I mean, I don't know what makes airplanes go up in the sky and stay there. Science on some level does that. So not all science is fake. Not all technology is built on physics and reality, right? Manipulating things that exist in order to make things work a certain way like that. Those things are quite real. So not everything is fake. And if you believe that everything is fake, it's kind of a cop-out thing to say. I know it's a very popular thing to say. Everything is fake and gay. No, not really. It's actually not true. And if you live your life that way, you're going to run into a real wall with your fake ass, with your fake ass thoughts on how things run. You will run into a real wall with your fake ass thoughts. So not everything is fake. Try to, recognize that some things are very, very real. Right on. Victory Jin reposted the stream on X. Thanks. I don't believe in quantum physics? I don't know. Somebody was saying that quantum physics is a bunch of bullshit. Where did I see that? I saw that somewhere. I'm talking about basic physics. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm just a layman who understands like basic physics properties. I don't know if I know enough to talk about quantum physics, but excuse me. Americans can't do math. Yeah. What do you think, Bella? Do you believe in the power of quantum physics? Sorry. I mean, apparently quantum computers exist. I don't know. Apparently. Does anybody have a quantum computer? Anybody have one of those? How's it working for you? The ceiling of Seibu Shinjuku Railway Station just collapsed in Tokyo. They are also having the heavy rains. This is in Japan, where they're also getting flooded out. Sorry. Schrodinger's power grid. That's funny. There's a universal scaling law. The macro and the micro are all dependent on gravity. Makes sense when you use the proper energy density. Chris says we believe in bro science. Thought that was a bowling alley. Flood sirens are sounding in Tokyo now. Hold on. Let me get it in the right spot. This is happening like all over the planet right now. The city of Mabane, North Carolina, just issued a code red emergency after severe flooding damage. They said it has less than 2 days of drinking water left. The city is calling for everyone not to use any water at all other than for limited drinking water. All right. And Durham keeps on getting the Durham area keeps on getting hit. We're gonna need a bigger boat. Yeah, I apparently. This is in Inner Mongolia, China. Let's see. Try not to do these too far out of order. But there is did the ice caps melt already? It's a good question. Not yet. But it seems they're on their way. 833,000 square miles under threat. What the hell is coming tomorrow? Tomorrow's marginal storm risk just became third largest in recorded history. And nobody's talking about it. That's not a forecast. That's a continental level event. Hail, wind, lightning, tornadoes across half the map. This isn't normal severe summer weather. Oh, really? It's not. Half the map is in the crosshairs. It's like the atmosphere is being pulled apart. Something massive is building, etc. I just, I want to remind or try to remind people of all the severe weather that's happened in the last 5, 6, 7 years. We've been, more frequently every single year. I want to, the people that have no historical context for anything, like everybody's responding to what's happening right now as if it's just an isolated, like, oh, look what's happening right now. They're just making this happen right now. Like, dude, remember the Mississippi flooding a few years ago? Remember all the floods that were happening just a few years ago? Remember all the rain we got like 2 years ago that flooded out all the crops in the cropland in the northern plains? Like, this has been going on. Like, you guys, you can't talk about things without the context, right? Like, people are just responding to ice. That's why it's frustrating, I think, a little bit too, is that people respond to one weather event and go, look how it was manipulated. Well, but did you look at all the other weather events that are happening around the planet? Are they all manipulated? Really? For what reason? To what end? Tell me, give me a why. Like, you can't just you can't cover things out of context with the other things that are happening, right? And even to recognize like, oh, this is really wild what's happening right now. Like, but you're going to leave out the context of the last 5 years, 10 years of increased, weather whiplash, I guess. Do you want to include that in your information bank? It would be helpful, I think. I've been doing this show for 8 years now. I can tell you things have gotten worse since I started the show in 8 years. I can tell you that things are wild things happened 8 years ago, but I can tell you that it has been increasingly wild. Is climate change happening? Yeah, it's a global phenomenon. It's a global phenomenon, Delene. That's why the term doesn't really, they switched it from global warming to climate change, right? Like climate change. I don't know if you're being funny, Delene, or not. Maybe I'm misreading your intention with a comment. But they switched that was an intentional switch in terms because they wanted to make it seem like something just very like grand climate. Oh, the climate is changing. Well, the climate is different everywhere you go. But you're talking about a global phenomenon, which is warming, right? They changed the word from the actual thing that was happening to something different that people could just be like, well, it's whatever. It's always a changing. You were being a smartass. All right. I thought so. So I just, but I'm, explaining for the lay folks out there, I guess. Somebody says, who can explain this with a logical response? I don't know how, who can explain this? Do you need to explain this? This is, it's a pretty amazing phenomenon, but what do you mean logical response? Is a logical response like they're dumping all the water from the sky? Is that a logical response? They've been running the cloud seeding machine from the sky and they're making all the water dump from the sky. What about all the atmospheric rivers that hit California in the last 3-4 years? I didn't hear people. I mean, there were a few people talking about it, but not to the degree that everyone is now. Now it's just like, oh, well, of course. Where was the Rainmaker guy 3 years ago? I didn't see his butt walking around.
So this is just mind-blowing right here. Niagara Falls, 757,000 gallons of water per second going over those falls. That works out to about 45 million gallons a minute, 2.7 billion gallons an hour, or roughly 65 billion gallons of water a day going over the edge. Now, that is an absolutely incredible amount of water, but it is only roughly half the amount of the 120 billion gallons of water that fell on Central Texas this past July 4th. So they say about 12 inches of rain fell in those early morning hours, which led the rivers to rise about 26 feet in a matter of 45 minutes. That's less than an hour. So when you see the absolute devastation and destruction, and you try to wrap your head around just how much water this is, it is roughly 2 days worth of the water going over Niagara Falls, all falling on Texas in just a matter of hours.
Let's see. There's a couple more here. I'm doing a lot of weather. Here's more of what's going on. I was going to move to some other subjects. But I will include some of the things people are posting about making the weather happen. The U.S. government apparently did major weather modification to rain out the hippies. Do you guys know this story, or do you think that's true? That the rain at Woodstock was an engineered event, or did it just rain? Not my words. These are the words of the people who were there at the time and captured on film saying it. Yes, this is real, not made by AI. I mean, they did make it rain in Vietnam. Comes from the original Woodstock documentary recorded at the time to document the event. Turns out the nefarious weather modification indeed works as intended and is kept somewhat secret even to this very day for obvious reasons.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Later, huh? Right, later. Okay. That was a real lot. I got something to say. I want to know how come the fascist pigs have been seeding the clouds.
Right, the last hour and a half.
Airplanes going over twice with all the smoke coming out of them seeding the clouds. And I want to know, why that stuff is going down, man. And why doesn't the media report that stuff to the people, man? I'm telling you what happened. The planes come over
For an hour and a half
and they
during the
seeded all the
concert at
clouds.
Woodstock,
It's the second time they
people of unknown origin were seeding the clouds over the
I don't know what they hope to prove,
create a
man.
rainfall.
What's going on here?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Did it rain in 99 too? Didn't it?
Oh yeah. Sure.
Later, huh?
Right,
They
later.
have some kind of riot.
Okay. I got something to say. I want to know how come the
Maybe rain
fascist pigs have been seeding the clouds.
Right, the last hour and a half.
Airplanes going over twice
Singer.
with all the smoke coming out of them seeding the clouds. And I want
Okay. All right. Maybe they were. It rained the whole event, and it was bad as a whole. That's that famous line from that movie with Charlton Heston, isn't it? Damn dirty hippies. Planet of the Long Hairs. Okay, lastly, I think this is the last one. This is kind of wild. And this actually makes me think there will be, right, everything that the Trump administration has said that they're going to uncover or disclose or bring to the light or whatever has turned out to be absolutely zero. And there's evidence. I'm going to show you some evidence, but Trump's EPA administrator Lee Zeldin announces the EPA will now compile and release everything they know about geoengineering and contrails, which will end up being nothing at all. Like, do you want to, at this point, when they come out and say stuff like this, you have to kind of assume that you're not going to get any information whatsoever. And if you do, it's going to be, very nothing. Epstein did it. Yeah. To anyone who's ever looked up at the streaks in the sky and asked what the heck is going on, or seen headlines about private actors and even governments looking to blot out the sun in the name of stopping global warming, we've endeavored the answer to all your questions. Okay. Really? Are you sure?
Concerned Americans have urgent and important questions about geoengineering and contrails. The American public deserves and expects honesty and
UAP
transparency
disclosure dried up.
from their government when seeking answers. But for years, people who asked questions in good faith were dismissed, even
we'll watch a little bit.
vilified by the media and their own government. That era is over. The Trump
it?
EPA is
Oh,
committed
boy.
to
Are we gonna get
total
some truth?
transparency.
Truth bombs?
As a
from the
result,
Trump administration?
I tasked my
All
team
right.
at EPA to compile a list
I believe
of
you.
everything we know about contrails and geoengineering for the purpose of releasing it to you now publicly.
All right. Be quiet. Like, okay, listen. This is ridiculous because in the same way that they have discredited that everything, everything that the WHO or the UN, talks about is like, all the things that the elites talk about that people just now don't believe just because of the source. Like, I feel like anything that the Trump administration comes out and says, oh yeah, we're going to totally disclose everything. Like, you should just believe that it's wrong. It's bullshit and it's wrong. And it's like, you're not going to get any truth. You're not going to get nothing. Well, so they have to know this by now, right? That they come out and make these statements like, people aren't going to believe you anymore, bro. I mean, I think they're doing this. Must be a PR stunt, right? Because everybody's like, "Oh my God, look what they're doing to the weather. They're making it rain, and it's really like crazy what's going on with it." And then the Trump administration jumps out and says, "Like, oh yeah, we're going to totally tell you all the truth about the contrails and what's going on with the bullshit." it's bullshit. If you're still dumb enough, if you're still a dupe enough to believe anything that these people are saying about anything, good luck to you. Anyways, that's funny. That's hilarious. And more because the Trump administration is just totally bringing you the truth on everything. Prince Andrew is now free to travel internationally as the FBI ends its investigation into his ties with Jeffrey Epstein because there are no files. Thanks, Trump. Wow. I don't know. I don't really have anything to say about that. All right, we're gonna take a break here and watch this little short film on 9/11.
$1.5 billion.
Well, now that's just insane.
These fucking vultures are trying to pluck my eyes out.
Have you talked to Rudy yet?
Rudy was the one who told me.
That's the price. I mean, what do you want me to say? It's 1.5. It's just what it is.
This is just when big things move, all parties have to be mutually, well, it goes without saying. Somebody is incredibly miffed you made that
Miffed?
deal.
My guys told me 150 million tops. If I can't get that shit out of those walls for less than 1.5 billion, I'm fakakta. You understand? I never should have listened to you.
I never told you to buy 2 towers of Babel filled with asbestos. Nothing in New York real estate is that easy. You weren't buying a fucking deli.
I don't have 1.5. I need that shit out of the walls or I need those buildings
Which
gone.
I told you is never going to happen. The demolition will probably cost more than it did to build the fucking thing.
See? Fakakta. At this point, it costs less to get someone to fly fucking planes into the building and collect the insurance.
For that, you'd need terrorism insurance.
I'll call you back. Deborah!
I'm right here, sir.
Oh, I need you to find out what kind of terrorism insurance we've got on those piece of shit towers.
Mr. Vice President, I've got an interesting idea I'd like to propose to you.
Did somebody order a false flag operation?
Get him whatever he wants. I just want him to feel like he's part of the team. Just pull it already.
And then when France doesn't join, we're going to call them Freedom Fries.
So I found this fucking passport over there. It's kind of burnt up, but not too bad considering it came from a fucking plane crash. Am I right? And not for nothing, but I already checked it, and it's a fucking Saudi Arabian guy. It's definitely probably one of the terrorists, you know, because, well, I mean, fucking come on here.
Even enemies need to agree sometimes.
And if you call it the global war on terrorism, I mean, terrorism can be anywhere. So now you can fight everywhere. It's going to be great. So that's the plan so far. Be honest. What do you guys think?
I'll tell you, Dick, Daddy's going to think this is just so cool, you know? It's like getting the band back together.
Okay. That was mildly entertaining. Oh, look, the Trump administration was going to get rid of those bad mRNA vaccines and stuff. But the FDA just grants full approval for Moderna's mRNA COVID-19 injection for children aged 6 months to 11 years. Thanks, Trump administration. Jesus Christ. I mean, literally everything. You want to know what's fake? I don't know. The Trump administration, anything they have to say is fake. I'm preaching to the choir. I know. I don't know that why I need to actually say that out loud, but I just did. That's a really good question, Bella. Why didn't they build the towers out of indestructible passport material? There was a lot of fire, right? There was a big, huge fireball. But those passports, they floated all the way down to the ground, untouched. Amazing. Yes, I know. Yes. I use the word plane loosely. Also, Moderna's COVID injection Spikevax for at-risk children will be ready for the 2025-26 respiratory virus season. Yay. Thanks, Trump administration. What's more in terrible Trump news? Terrible Trump news. Oh yeah, Steph C. That's correct. What woman was it? Judy Wood. It did turn into dust. It's kind of amazing. Kind of amazing. Yep. New documents reveal that Trump is pouring hundreds of millions of dollars in military aid into building IDF air bases and facilities in Israel. Okay. So either secretly or not so secretly. Funding the whole dang thing. Here's audio of Trump claiming he told Putin, I'm going to bomb the shit out of Moscow. Well, that's fun.
We are getting exclusive audio from 2024 of Trump then as a candidate discussing details of a private conversation that he once had with President Putin. The audio obtained by the authors of a new book that is just out today. And for context, the president has long said that Putin would never have invaded Ukraine on his watch because of something he told him once privately. Trump had never revealed what that was.
Is that Crystal Ball's sister?
I had a very strong conversation with President Putin, and he understood, and I won't go into the great details of the conversation because nobody has to know that. But I will tell you, it never, ever would have happened.
I don't want to say it, but did they fear me? I suspect they did.
Well, tonight we're learning those details as the audio reveals that Trump says that he threatened not just President Putin, but also China's President Xi Jinping. And this is what he told donors about what exactly that conversation looked like during a private fundraiser last year.
To Putin, I said, if you go in to Ukraine, we're going to bomb the shit out of Moscow. I'm telling you, I have no choice. The public wants the public. So he goes like, I don't believe you. He said, no way. And I said, wait. And then he goes like, I don't believe you. But the truth is, he believed me 10%. And I told you this, he believed me 10%. Then I'm with President Xi of China. But I said the same thing to them. I said, if you go into Taiwan, I'm going to bomb the shit out of Beijing. He thought I was crazy. He said, Beijing, you're going to bomb Beijing. I said, I have no choice. I got to bomb them. We're going to bomb Beijing. And he didn't believe me either. He said 10%. And 10% is all you need. In fact, 5% would have been okay too. And we never had a problem. We would have never had a problem.
Okay. What the hell? No way. Yeah. I thought he had an ear shot off too. Yeah. It looks awful healthy. His ear is looking really nice these days. I don't buy the incompetence excuse either. And I also don't buy the Republican only excuse. everybody's covering for that thing, Democrats and Republicans, because they all get up on the camera and go, that fateful day when we are attacked by terrorists. I mean, that's a lie right there. That statement alone is a lie. And every single person in Congress, Democrat or Republican, repeats the lie. Nobody will, broach the subject of it being something other than what they say it was, right? And so they're all complicit. Not incompetent, but complicit. Yeah. But if you want to have a special hatred in your heart for Republicans, go right ahead. I won't stop you. Did I play this yesterday? I can't remember whether I did or not. About Trump was talking about taking over New York City if Mamdani won as mayor. Did I play this yesterday or not? It's kind of wild. I sometimes just can't remember things. Trump is such a blowhard. That's not all that's hard. Sorry. Trump is now plotting to use the upcoming election of Zohran Mamdani as justification to seize New York City and DC and place them under federal management. What? Because they're commies? Because he's a commie? This is goofy. Really? So the people in New York are going to be like, oh, yeah, that's fine. Please. Come in and save us from communism, Trump.
But I can tell you this. I used to say we will not ever be a socialist country. Right?
A socialist country.
Again, we're not going to have.
I don't even know what socialism means.
Elected to run New York. It can never be the same, but we have tremendous power at the White House to run places when we have to. We could run DC. I mean, we're looking at DC. We don't want crime in DC. We want the city to run well. Susie Wiles is working very closely with the mayor, and they're doing all right. I mean, in the sense that we would run it so good, it would be run so properly.
It's so good.
Person to run it, the crime would be down to a
we'd be
minimum.
running so good.
Much less. We're thinking about doing it. To be honest with you, we want to.
Oh, did you see?
That's run flawlessly, and it wouldn't be hard for us to do it.
Oh my God. Anyways, it's hard for me to listen to that. Steph, did you see that the Democratic Party is saying that they are urging people not to support Mamdani in the coming election? The Democrats don't want him. I mean, it's the same playbook that they threw at Bernie and others. Anybody that's even mouths the words socialism or anything, anything that's on that kind of a policy platform, they throw this playbook at them. Dems would, they would definitely rather see Cuomo or Adams. And neither of those guys are, they're Democrats, but they're yeah, I don't know if I can find it or not. Yeah, they basically the Democratic Party urged people not to vote for Mamdani. Maybe not support this guy, okay? Because, we want somebody who represents democratic values, if you know what I mean. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more. These people are wild. Just wild. If you like the show, if you want to support the show, there's lots of ways to do it in the description box of YouTube or the link tree on X or on Telegram. All the usual suspects are there. PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-Fi, Patreon, Substack, etc. If you would like to see the show continuing to come to you for free 99 Monday through Friday, Many of you support the show on the regular. You know who you are, and I appreciate you. This is the last thing I'm going to show you today. Supreme Court ruling empowers President Trump to restructure federal workforce. It's from yesterday. This is not good things either. In a significant victory for the Trump administration, the U.S. Supreme Court has cleared the way for mass federal layoffs. Lifting an injunction that had blocked parts of a February 2025 executive order, the decision allows President Donald Trump to move forward with a long-standing plan to downsize the federal workforce and reassert presidential control over agency operations. This ruling comes shortly after the court's earlier 2024 decision. I have another thing to show you, by the way. I forgot. That goes somewhat in line with this. Anyways, this ruling comes shortly after the court's earlier 2024 decision to overturn the Chevron deterrence doctrine, a move that weakened the autonomy of federal agencies. Together, these decisions mark a fundamental shift in how power is exercised in Washington, with major implications of the size, scope, and function of the federal government. Ruh-roh. The decision follows the court's earlier action in Loper Bright Enterprises versus Raimondo, decided on June 28th, 2024, which overturned the 40-year-old Chevron deference precedent. That ruling curtailed the ability of federal agencies to independently interpret ambiguous laws, thereby strengthening both the judiciary and the presidency at the expense of bureaucratic power. The combined legal outcomes grant the White House unprecedented influence over the federal workforce and regulatory state. The impact on the federal workforce is already materializing. Since early 2025, President Trump's administration has pursued re-implementation of Schedule F, a federal job classification that allows the removal of employees in policy-influencing roles without the typical civil service protections. According to internal reports, over 50,000 federal workers have been reclassified under Schedule F, and an estimated 260,000 positions have been eliminated or reassigned through early retirement incentives, buyouts, or direct layoffs. Advocates of the Supreme Court ruling on President Trump's restructuring plan argue that a leaner, more responsive federal workforce is critical to restoring public trust. This perspective aligns with a long-standing concern over the quote-unquote deep state. Could this disrupt everyday government services? The risk of short-term disruption is considerable. Agencies such as the IRS, Veterans Administration, and Social Security Administration have already reported slowed response times and increased workloads due to ongoing staff reductions. With over 250,000 positions affected in the first half of 2025, some routine functions have been delayed, including tax return processing, veterans benefits, and social program enrollments. And one more item that's scary. Still, proponents of the administration's plan argue that the long-term goal is to modernize government services through automation, or AI, better hiring practices, and performance-based reviews. And let's see. That's about all I'm going to read of that. So one other thing I wanted to read in conjunction with this. Let's see. It's here somewhere. CNN is reporting that the deployment of urban search and rescue teams in Texas was delayed for 3 days because of Kristi Noem and Donald Trump. So there's some government accountability for you. Or does that sound just about right for government response times? I don't know. I feel like I remember during the Los Angeles fires in January that people were complaining about the response time. It was still the Biden administration at the time, and people were complaining about the response time and the reaction time of FEMA. But I don't know. Let's listen to this. Or can't.
So according to 4 officials inside FEMA, that federal response may not have been as fast as it might have been. They say that a new rule that any expenditure over $100,000 needed sign-off from Secretary Noem slowed the federal response. These sources tell us that FEMA's deployment of urban search and rescue teams, which are typically deployed in anticipation they might be needed, instead was delayed until Monday, 3 days after the flood. Now, a source also tells us that a request Texas made for FEMA aerial imagery to aid in the search was also delayed, waiting for Secretary Noem's approval. Now, additionally, multiple FEMA officials say that they were taken aback by the agency's relatively limited response in the immediate aftermath of the disaster. CNN has reached out to FEMA for comment. So far, no reply from the agency. However, a DHS spokeswoman more generally told CNN that FEMA is, in her words, quote, shifting from bloated DC-centric dead weight to a lean deployable disaster force that empowers state actors to provide relief for their citizens.
Okay. Yeah, the New Orleans response time was pretty bad. I think that people generally have, especially after Hurricane Helene, there was, lots of criticism about FEMA's response to that. So, in general, I think it's less than desirable. All right, guys, that does it for me. I don't know if I have anybody to thank today yet. Not sure. But I will be back tomorrow being Friday. It's already Friday, my God. I'll be back tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific. And we will see you all then. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chatting. All right, guys. Peace out. And we will see you tomorrow.